All right. What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day. Guys, it's going to be April this week, which means we're going to be inside of a month to Free Comic Book Day. Get hyped, get ready. Head over to freecomicbookday.com. If you want to see the full list, hit comics. That'll give you the full rundown of everything you can get. It's 46 awesome titles. If you want to try something new, go ahead and do it. If you want to grab something you already recognize, there's all kinds of cool titles that you already know. Pokemon, Doctor Who, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Avengers, Spider-Man, Walking Dead, all that good stuff. So it's a good chance to try something new.
I heard a rumor that one of the Marvel books is going to be teasing a very big Blade storyline. Like they're revving up the Blade hype machine for this Mahershala Ali movie. So they're like going to put him front and center again, which I think
I have heard the same rumor.
Yeah. So might want to get on the ground floor, guys, especially if you're a fan of Blade and you want to see what's coming up down the pipeline. Check it out. Hey, there's a little reminder to like, follow, and subscribe. You can hang out with me at Previews World. You can hang out with Ashton at Free Comic Book Day, right? And that's pretty much across all your favorite platforms. Like if one of us isn't on a thing, then the other is. I think that's probably a safe assumption at this point, right? So yeah, like, follow, subscribe, hang out with us. We're cool. Like we're fun. We're fun. We say cool things, you know. Like, you know, I feel like we sound like our parents right now. But
I'm hip.
I'm with. Here you go, Johnny. Come on. I'm hip. I'm with.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
oh, I can't do the Macarena, so
don't look at me like I'm freaking Frankenstein. Give your father a hug.
Shout out to producer Johnny Rose. Who, Johnny, by the way, in the description, you need to add your name as producer. I don't know why you don't do that, but you are a producer of this show.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Right.
You're not really all that behind the curtain, though.
I know. I interrupt.
Interrupting producer at all possible times. You know what? All right, let's get into it real quick. Oh, first of all, people are saying hi. Karen. What's up, Karen? How's it going? Hi, Karen. You know, I'm seeing more female watchers on this show. And I think that's because of the round table, which I'm happy to find out, which I'm happy to say. But let's talk about hey, what's up, Dave Brown? Always great to see you, man. Dave. What's going on? Let's talk about the other stuff that happened at the Oscars this week.
Okay.
You know, I will openly admit I am obsessed with this Will Smith thing, but I'm very much I'm part of the problem at this point. I
same.
I wish I was a better human, but we're not going to talk about that because truthfully, it really has nothing to do with this type of stuff that we talk about. But outside of the Will Smith thing, some other notable things happened. Number one, Sam Jackson got an award. Your least favorite actor got an award, Ashton.
I don't love Sam Jackson. I did love the Pulp Fiction moment, though. That is a fantastic movie, and I was the little reunion.
Yep, absolutely. But he did get an award as well. Wasn't televised. Denzel Washington gave him like some sort of lifetime achievement award, and it was not
I didn't
televised.
even catch that until after the Oscars was already over. I saw it on social media, and I was like, "Oh, I mean, okay, good for him."
Yeah. So shout out to Nick Fury. Questlove, of course, got an award. West Side Story's Ariana DeBose. I hope I'm saying her. I hope we're saying her name right. Got an award. But for our purpose, Ashton, I know you want to talk about Dune, so let her rip. What are your thoughts on the, 6 Oscars?
Yeah.
Nice.
6
Accurate. This is exactly what's about to happen for next minute. Go ahead.
Y'all are probably sick of me and Dune by this point, but I'm not sorry. They won 6 awards. They were all technical awards. They were only nominated in the technical categories apart from their Best Picture nomination. But they won for cinematography, production design, film editing, original score, shout out to Hans Zimmer, visual effects, and sound design, which I'm super happy about. All of those things are what made the movie kind of feel the way it did, because the first movie's a lot of setup. It's it's very, very plot driven. It's all about what's going to happen in the next movie. So a lot of this stuff was really critical to making it entertaining in the way that it was, and to making it feel like have that like off-world effect.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think going into it, like I think there were two guarantees, not just the Oscars, but going into the release of Dune. There was two things that I think were a guarantee: is that it was going to look great, it was going to sound great, and it probably was going to get Oscars for both of those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get when you have Denis Villeneuve on the scene. So I appreciate that. I actually wanted real quick to talk about something. I don't think it's gotten much traction. I just find it interesting. I don't think even like I have like much of a judgment, but two of Zack Snyder's films got recognized at the Oscars. So I get what the Oscars were trying to do here, right? There's been this ongoing thing to kind of stay relevant, and it's been a struggle for the Oscars, right? And the latest in an annual string of attempts to stay relevant to get eyeballs, they did an online fan vote, and so this is the interesting thing about this, right? Did they limit the movies listed to that you can vote for? No, they did not, right? Did they limit the number of times you could vote? Yes, but the limit was 20 times per day.
That's a pretty high limit.
Right. So you can already see where this is going, right? So Army of the Dead and Zack Snyder's Justice League were the top choices, right? And specifically, Army received the Fan Choice Award, right? And the Justice League received Cheer-Worthy Moment, specifically for the scene where Flash runs through the Speed Force at the very end of the movie. It was followed by Amazon Cinderella, which I actually didn't know was a thing.
That was supposedly nominated as a joke. That was like really? a troll nomination, apparently.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Actually, well, a lot of these are troll wins. I got to be honest with you. American International Pictures Johnny Depp movie Minamata, which I'd never even heard of.
What? Didn't even know that existed.
But I mean, we can kind of suspect that it's also kind of a troll vote, right? Sure. Like, I mean, Johnny Depp and the internet right now are very much a thing and have been for like the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Box office record breaker Spider-Man No Way Home from Sony definitely won. And Netflix Tick Tick Boom, which I think those two are probably the most genuine.
Yeah,
for sure. But
yeah, I just you gave the internet a voice. What did you think?
You expect, right? Yeah. When they announced it, they kind of swept it under the rug, though. When it was like going to announce it on the show, and they announced the winners, and it was just kind of like an afterthought. But like most things, I think at the Oscars, after the Will Smith slap,
irrelevant.
We definitely did a poll where we asked which are people tired of, the Justice League or Star Wars sequel trilogy. And I just thought this was really interesting that like the Snyder, I'm gonna say what it is. The Snyder cult, their zealotry is immovable. Like it's Taliban levels of immovable.
That was a take to have.
That was a take to have. I mean, like, but here's the thing. They don't get a statue at the end, which I thought was kind of like a little bit of BS. Like, I kind of feel like they should get a statue for that. Put some real stakes in this maybe for next year. That's just my own 2 cents. But hold on. We got some comments here. I hope everyone is well. Like, I think I'm doing all right here. You good, Ashton?
I think I'm hanging in there. I'm here. Present and accounted for.
What else we got here, Johnny? It's going great from Cal. Okay, Karen like responding to us saying how she's doing. I love the Coda one. It's a lovely film. I didn't know what that was. I got to be honest with you. I had no idea what that was. I'd never heard of it. I mean, I'd heard of it, but I wasn't sure. I do know that it's an Apple release, which is kind of like pretty wild because there's a whole controversy about theatrically released movies. I love the Dune soundtrack. Yeah, awesome.
Me too.
She's definitely a fan. Favorite Zack Snyder film? Are you asking us? Or are you asking if Zack Snyder films were a favorite? My favorite would probably be I don't know, probably like Sucker Punch or 300 maybe. I don't know. Gotta be honest.
Sure, 300's good.
Yeah. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. That was cool. But like, let's dive into some comic stuff, right? Let's get into the real reason we're here. It is New Release Wednesday. Ashton has her pick. I have my pick. So let's get it going. All right. You know what, Ashton? Do you want to go first or should I go first?
I want to go first.
All right, go first. Do it.
My pick is not a comic book. I'm pretty sure I picked a toy last week and I'm picking a toy again this week. Okay. And I am okay with that. Reminder, your comic shop doesn't just have comics. They also have toys.
Absolutely.
And there's all kinds of goodies to be found there. So my pick this week is the Paul Atreides and also Lady Jessica figures from Dark Horse Comics. These things are awesome. They're big boys. The Paul statue stands 9 1/4 inch tall. The Jessica statue stands 9 inches tall, so she's slightly shorter. And they're dressed in their still suits. Paul has his knife. He's doing the Atreides salute. And the still suits look so good. They're so detailed.
Nice,
There's so many like nooks and crannies to get. And they nailed this and totally knocked it out of the park. They retail at $60. So they're a little bit, on the higher side, but you get what you pay for. And I totally want this Paul Atreides statue. Like, I have to have it.
Oh yeah, those are cool. Now Dark Horse has gotten real. I mean, they've always kind of been into the figure game, but they've been really swinging hard with it lately, and really been nailing the likenesses. I got to give them credit. Like,
right?
That's actually pretty impressive. My pick this week is actually Hulk Grand Design. So I actually spent the weekend writing about this book for Previews World. This is the third in a series of Grand Design books. So if you recall, Ed Piskor had X-Men Grand Design. Tom Scioli had Fantastic Four Grand Design. Now Jim Rugg has Hulk Grand Design. So here's the deal. Rugg read 500 plus issues of Hulk to create this. And I want to say that the idea is that he's going to recap those 500 issues, but I feel like that's kind of a disservice. It kind of minimizes the effort that's put into these things on a regular, whenever they do a Grand Design book. So they call it Grand Design for a reason, right? A singular artist takes hundreds of comics based on one particular character or team, right? And they highlight the larger narrative, the themes, the cyclical aspects of those particular characters or teams, right? And then they find the larger narrative to those lengthy comic runs. And these, of course, are comic runs by multiple artists, multiple writers, and they just kind of, these artists give them a framing, give them a unique framing, right? Hence the term Grand Design. And the more I'm talking about this, I kind of have started to realize, this is kind of important what they're doing right now. And I say that because these Marvel IPs, right, have become so large and so mainstream, right? And the Grand Design books kind of bring them back to their base. And not just the comics, but the ideas and the subtext and the themes that actually made them resonate in the first place. So I think this is actually really cool. I think it's better than like back in the day, we used to have these kind of like recap books that would come out. They were just basically, in this issue, this happened, this issue, that happened, this, et cetera. So it was mostly text, but Jim Rugg is redrawing like pivotal moments, finding the interconnectivity between creative teams that kind of like tells a larger Hulk narrative. And I just think it's really cool. And I'm actually really looking forward to this. So yeah, definitely check out Hulk Grand Design. Monster #1, which is part of a 2-part series. So there's Hulk Grand Design Monster, and then there's Hulk Grand Design Madness, which comes out in April. And also I have to point out, this is Hulk's 60th anniversary. So this is part of the reason they're doing this. Yeah, part of the reason they're doing it. All right. Of course, these aren't the only items available at your local comic shop this week. Anna Mia's here, and she's going to show you what's available at your local comic shop today. Check it out.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of March 30th, 2022. Is that it? No way. Your comic shop has something for every type of customer. So stop at a comic shop today, and I'll see you back here next week.
All right. And yes, of course, you can go to previewsworld.com/new releases every single week to find out ahead of time what's available at your local comic shop. So definitely jump on over there and play along while we talk more about some of the events that have happened in the world of comics this past week and around comics, right? So yeah, let's jump into some news.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Can't talk right now, buddy. Daddy has to do the news.
Was that a gimmick? Was that a shtick, or was that the real stuff? Was actually
right? I'm wondering too. Is Carter like, Dad, I need to play Mario Kart or whatever it is?
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, Ashton, what's going on with Wonder Harbor Comics? Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on
Oh,
with them?
nothing good.
Mm,
Okay, so Wonder Harbor Comics in Edmonton, Canada has officially closed after 2 fires hit the shop inside of 8 days.
oh,
Um,
wow.
they published a tweet on Sunday saying, "Good afternoon, everyone. It is with great sadness that we have to announce that Wonder Harbor is now closed. We were hit with arson last night and the store is not recoverable. We will do everything we can to get the customers the books they were waiting for. Thank you." So they've done that, and they've gone ahead and set up a GoFundMe page to try and recover the building. The
Mm,
building itself, like the physical building, is fine; it will survive, but the interior of it is completely done, completely devastated. All of
mm,
their products, all of their comics, all of their toys, all of it is just completely wiped.
yeah.
So they're kind of trying to get everyone to rally around them and help rebuild. So far, they've raised $5,000 on their GoFundMe. If you would like to contribute, I'm sure they would love the help. They were previously Canada's largest comic book store.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure that will leave quite a hole in that community. And fingers crossed that they recover.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I'm getting, not unfortunately, I'm getting very tired of these stories of like broken windows, things stolen from shops lit on fire.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's really sad, and it's something that we bring up like once every 2 months. We have one of these stories.
Yeah, no, that's true. No, you're right about that. And like that's I don't know, that'd be a larger conversation about what's going
Mhm.
on around us, right? But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to, even if you're not from Canada, if you want to throw some
Yeah.
support towards Wonder Harbor Comics Way, check out their GoFundMe. I don't think we have the exact link, but you can just go on GoFundMe and just type in Wonder Harbor
Mhm.
Comics, and you should be good to go. But yeah, shout out to them, and I hope they
Yeah.
actually recover from this, because that's really unfortunate. I mean, that's literally every comic shop owner's nightmare. Is like
Yeah.
a fire. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like,
You're
yeah,
just
absolutely.
inside a kindling box.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Let's switch gears a little bit to something a
Mhm.
little bit happier, all right? The Todd Father is making big moves again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Spawn creator Todd McFarlane announced a graphic novel initiative starting this year and stretching into 2023. This year alone, we'll see 15 collections from the
Wow.
House of Spawn. Yeah. So the Spawn books have always had a slightly, this is my own personal opinion, but I've always had a slightly jerky approach to collected editions.
Okay.
Some stories collected here and others weren't, and some runs are prestige format and others are massive collections. It's only in I want to say the last year and a half that these really been kind of like knuckling down on how they handle these things.
Right.
And it's just always seemed not as comprehensive, I guess is what I'm getting as it
Hmm.
could be. But McFarlane is planning more Spawn Origins trade paperbacks and hardcovers. He's planning a continuation of the massive Spawn Compendium series, a 620-page Spawn Deluxe hardcover, which will be Volume 5 of that series, and an oversized slipcase hardcover, and a signed edition of the slipcase hardcover as well. And of course, this is in addition to all that we're getting the first collections of the first of the 3 new series that were launched just this past year, King Spawn, Gunslinger Spawn, and the Scourge,
Hmm.
as well as Spawn's Universe, which includes the double-sized one-shot Spawn's Universe #1 and stories from Gunslinger Spawn and the Scourge #1. And Image will continue to release newer story arcs, of course, of the Spawn
Hmm.
book as trade paperbacks. Todd McFarlane plans comic universe built around Spawn, all of which sold well in single issues. McFarlane says he plans to continue to deliver high quality stories and products within the Spawn universe that are reasonably priced. So there you
Okay.
go, something to look forward to for all you Spawn fans, which we know
Hmm.
there are a lot of them because you guys keep helping him break records, which is really cool. So what else is going on in the world of comics? Actually, I'm sorry, you're like the bearer of bad news this week, aren't you?
Yeah, I just realized that you're like, let's switch to something happy. Well, let's switch back to something
Let's switch,
sad.
switch back to something sad. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, gang. Um, so one of the most groundbreaking graphic novels to ever hit shelves, Persepolis, has been deemed too appropriate to teach within the Philadelphia school district.
Hmm.
Mary Jane Strapavi's Persepolis served as both an autobiography of Strapi's. I feel like I'm saying her name wrong. Satrapi? Help me.
Satrapi. You know what? I have read this book, and I am going to say Satrapi.
I never want to. I never want to get anybody's name wrong. I always feel bad. I feel I'm mispronouncing
We
them.
can just say Marjanes.
Margins.
There
Okay.
you go.
Sorry to you. Okay. So It's an autobiography of her life in Iran and Austria, and it also doubles as a social commentary, centering around themes of war, religion, identity, and social injustice. The popularity of it spawned a sequel and a feature film adaptation, which was Oscar nominated as Best Animated Feature. And it's the latest book to kind of come under attack. You know, we did this dance a few months back with Mouse in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So this has been banned in the Franklin Regional School District in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and also in the Philly area. So the committee previously voted to approve the teaching of Persepolis in classrooms upon review last year, but then it garnered more concern from parents who reviewed the curriculum when it became public this year, and they complained regarding scenes of violence and torture, and also frequent use of the F word, and basically just made enough noise that it got pulled from the curriculum, and essentially banned it from the district by pulling it from the curriculum. And so until a further recommendation is made to the school board, it will remain off the curriculum.
Interesting. So, I mean, this isn't quite like the Mouse situation, but at the same time, it's sort of like a little disheartening. Like I said, I read the trailer.
Like it? We're banning
Well,
books.
I mean, it seemed yeah, no. I mean, no. At the end of the day, yes, it's about banning books, but I think the rationale had more to do with scenes of torture and violence, and specifically language. And I mean, look, that could be a red herring, right? Like, of course, right? I don't want to speculate too much on that. But you know what? You're right, Ashton. I don't know what I'm talking about. The point I was going to make is I read the book. It's an excellent book. And, I specifically have friends who are Muslim, who really didn't even read comics, but I handed them this, and they love that book and they love that movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's a story that has an impact. It's an excellent series, and hopefully the school district in PA will see the light.
Get it together.
Get it together, guys. Banning books, not cool. All right, switching gears again to less sad
Back to the
stuff.
happy.
You're gonna have whiplash this episode, guys. I'm sorry. So I'm into this because I'm actively already reading Thor, right? And you should too. Next month, fans will get to celebrate the long and storied history of the God of Thunder with the writers and artists who helped build his legacy. Arriving just in time for Thor's 60th anniversary, see, just like Hulk. Thor number 24 will be a 74-page epic honoring 750 thunderous issues. The milestone issue will see some of Thor's greatest legends return home to tell thrilling new tales set during the landmark runs. Thor number 24 will take place in the aftermath of God of Hammers. Look at that. See, I've been reading it.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Shiny.
The latest epic and writer Donny Cates and artist Nick Klein's hit run on the title. After a scorched earth victory that cost the God of Thunder both his hammer and his father, Thor and all of Asgard mourn Odin, unaware that the former Allfather lives on in Thor's newly reforged hammer. In addition to the main story by Cates and Klein, here are the all new tales readers can look forward to. Writer J. Michael Straczynski and artist Olivia Coipel reunite for a story set during the redefining Thor saga. Legendary comics creator Dan Jurgens writes and draws an incredible Thor and Balder team-up comic. Comics icon Walter Simonson, who had to be there, right, makes his grand return to Thor, writing and drawing an all-new adventure to explore the origin of his beloved creation, Beta Ray Bill. Al Ewing and Legar Bey collaborate for the first time since Loki, Agent of Asgard, to bring you an all-new chapter for the God of Mission that leads directly into Ewing's upcoming Defenders Beyond series. And actually, I just want to point out, we did an episode of the panel about Loki, Agent of Asgard, so you should definitely check that out. And prepare for a revelatory tale about Odin that only writer Jason Aaron and artist Das Pastores can deliver. This arrives April 27th. Reserve your copy with Previous World Poll Box, guys, because it's coming up fast. And celebrate. And I will totally tell you right now, the Donny Cates Thor run is well worth the price of admission. So definitely get on board. And then, re-experience some of your favorite previous runs as well. This is a cool little celebration they got going here.
Do it.
All right, we're going to switch gears. Actually, no, we're going to keep it on Marvel. Oh, what is this? I'm really looking forward to Spawn New Edition. Thanks, Jamie. Good to hear. Glad that you got something fun out of the news this week.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. All right, so Deadpool Samurai is a thing. It's a book that's out from Viz Media right now.
All right.
Yes. So here's the trailer for that. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about it. and that's available and in comic shops right now. That is from a collaboration between Viz and Marvel, and actually you can expect more Marvel Viz collabs in the future. I know there's a new book currently in the previews catalog that's also like a manga interpretation of the Marvel heroes. So if that's your jam, you should definitely check it out. All right, let's get into some social swap. We got here kind of quick. I kind of feel maybe that's 26 minutes, maybe not. All right, Ashton, you ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. That's how you know you're in trouble, when Ashton smiles and says yes. Let's go. Social swamp time.
This week's Social Swamp is all about misfires, and I am here for it. We asked you guys to tell us what adaptations do you felt were a flop? They were bad. It was just an all-around misfire. The example we gave here was the Halo series is apparently in trouble, which I was not aware of, but RIP to them. So let's see what you guys thought was bad. Eric says, I could have very much lived without Wonder Woman 1984's be intimate with Steve while he is in someone else's body, and that person has no understanding and no control scene.
That's actually pretty interesting. I saw a lot of people take issue with that. Huh.
Calvin says, Bryan Singer's X-Men got nearly every character wrong. The only two characters even remotely right were Wolverine and Magneto. Sorry, I really hope we get a faithful version from Marvel.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, I know you have hot takes on that one.
I do.
Ansley says, anybody who's read the Sherlock Holmes stories ought to know he's a very kind person with enormous respect and compassion for the disenfranchised, and who loves art and beauty and cares deeply and openly about Watson, who is, for his part, perfectly competent and intelligent.
I guess that's a shot at the actually both the Robert Downey Jr. version and the Benedict Cumberbatch.
Sometimes Watson is a big dumb idiot for no real reason.
Interesting. In which version? Like in, what'd you say?
I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I wasn't necessarily thinking of a movie. I'm thinking about like games or any other time he's been portrayed. He's kind of just
okay.
Like,
gotcha. I think that's fair. That's fair.
Jared says, I like the original Hellboy movies, but the thing I hate is that they make Hellboy and BPRD like Men in Black type of deal. It's not like that in the comics. Tommy says, Star Wars Darth Vader. Okay, gotcha. The Darth Vader in the original 3 movies was more dark and mysteriously evil. Then the newer movies came along. The backstory on Lord Vader turned him into brooding Jane Austen-esque mess of a character. That totally gave me pause. I was like, yo, they really went for that.
Yeah, they did. Interesting.
Melissa says, Luke Skywalker would never run away and pout on a distant planet. He would absolutely put on his big boy boots and make things right. I was about to say pants. I agree with that one, actually.
Yeah. I mean, that one was inevitable, wasn't it?
You love to have your main character act totally out of character. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Is that all of them, Johnny? That's everyone? All right, cool. All right, Ashton, I know you have a take here. Look, I will say this much, right? During the, growing up in the pre-geek culture days, right, of movies and television and stuff like that, I think I've gotten used to the abuse. That's not something of not quite getting the adaptations you want. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I'm a little numb to that actually. We Liz and I, Liz specifically, revisited the Batman movies. It was actually very amusing. The previous Batman movies, like from Tim Burton to Joel Schumacher to Christopher Nolan, and it was very interesting to try to explain to her the context of why there were so many tonal shifts in Batman. You know what I mean? And I kind of, as I was explaining that to her, I was like, I think I've built up this callus of that is so much from understanding and from experience of like just kind of being like, yeah, this is just where it was at the time, and that's how they decided to go with it. There you go. But I'm curious about your own take. Oh, what is this? Annie Fox, like Jessica Alba, didn't like her Sue Storm. I think that's very fair, and especially didn't like the mini thing. I think Michael Chiklis was an excellent thing. I wish they probably committed to maybe a combination of digital and practical effects with him to make him bigger. I think that would have been cool. But yeah, Ashton, what is your what is your bad adaptation? Like the bad adaptation that you go to be a prime example of how not to do it?
M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong's take on Avatar was just bad, start to finish, misfire. Casting white people in a movie that is decidedly not about white people or white culture was just cringy at best.
And kind of a shock, I gotta say, from him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I always thought that was a very strange move on his part, particularly because, you know, M. Night is Asian. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is right. It's just I just thought that was very strange. But I'm sorry, I didn't want to break into that. But
just cast the guy that played Jasper in Twilight to play Sokka. That was weird. Yeah, it's just cringy, and the whole thing was like, honestly, I don't have a lot of recollection of like the different plot points or what they tried to accomplish in that movie because it was very forgettable. But I do know that there was like, it was only ever a 1-movie deal to my recollection. Again, that could be faulty, but like, so it's a 1-movie deal, but he decides not to try and tackle the entire like Avatar arc. Like starting with finding him in the iceberg and culminating with the battle against Fire Lord Ozai. He like just does the first book for no real reason and also misses like incredibly important pieces of the story again for no discernible reason. Misfire, skip it.
Well, I mean, and this is all like I think this falls under hubris, right? But I think the assumption was that they were automatically going to get sequels.
Okay, that's fair.
You know what I mean? Which in itself is another problem with that movie, I think. Like the assumption that this was going to be you change so much and you kind of like take away very basic. And I'm not even a big Avatar fan. Like I've told you before, I started watching Avatar: The Last Airbender only just like about 2 years ago. So I'm way behind the curve on this. But then I saw the movie finally and I was just sort of like, yeah, you can't assume you're going to have a sequel and then change so much of this and like essentially like the very essence of what makes this thing the thing that it is in the casting. You know what I mean? So I thought that's really interesting. I also think that was really weird that Netflix seemed to be one to repeat those mistakes, which I thought was also a little oddball.
I'm very concerned about the Netflix situation. So far, I mean, the casting has been good. They've casted all Asian actors, which is, at least a better start than Shyamalan. It just is like, I feel like it's destined to suffer the same fate that a lot of like comic book adaptations and animated adaptations face, which is that do you have the budget to pull off those things that are happening and do it effectively and not make it look cheap? And that was part of the problem with Shyamalan's movie. It looked cheap.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I don't think I have necessarily because I don't want to be a broken record. I don't have any like real like examples of bad adaptations. You know what I mean?
I don't believe that.
I mean, I could go on. Like I could dive into it. I mean, I definitely co-signed the Bryan Singer comment earlier. But I do.
Yeah, I know, because one time in passing I mentioned Halle Berry as Storm, and you were like,
"Oh yeah." Like I understand, like there's got to be solidarity with Halle Berry on certain things, but no,
that's not it.
That's not it. I'm sorry, absolutely not. But I've had this recently. I've been thinking to myself, maybe I need to reevaluate the Man of Steel. We were talking about Zack Snyder earlier, right?
Ooh.
And I don't know where this is coming from. I got to be real with you, but a lot of people don't like Batman versus Superman, right?
Yeah.
Dawn of Justice. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't. I actually really think that movie is actually a really good, I've said this before, Elseworld story and kind of a nice unpacking of what makes both of those characters so different from each other.
Okay.
And I think people make a lot of stink about the Martha scene. I think it makes a lot of sense. I got to be honest with you on that one. But just the idea of, I didn't like Man of Steel, but I liked Batman versus Superman, and kind of, especially the director's cut. And so kind of sitting there and watching Batman versus Superman, I had to I've been meaning to reevaluate Man of Steel, because of course these two things bleed into each other, right? It's like, it's basically the follow-up. And so, I just kind of have had this moment recently where I'm sort of like, maybe I'll watch it again. Some of this has to do with, Joaquin, Mystical Green Beanie, has been like, oh, it's not bad. You should give it a second chance. I'm like, all right. I've been dragging my feet. I've been dragging my feet about this for like about 2 years now. So I might actually just rewatch it and give it another shot. I'm just saying.
I like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think that's a great casting choice.
I think he's, and I think that's the other weird thing about this is that I feel like the casting choices were really solid. Like
Yeah.
I like even
Batfleck.
just I like Ben Affleck as Batman. Like I actually think he's a good Batman. I actually think he made a really good Batman. Even like I know some people don't like Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor, but I'm like in the world of Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay.
In the world of Mark Zuckerberg, Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Like if that's the angle you're going to take, that interpretation makes a lot of sense. And
I just had a weird Inception moment because he does play Mark Zuckerberg in my brain.
Right, yes, of course, right, yeah. No, I mean he does. And I mean I think that's partially why they did that. They wanted to represent him more as that type that in Zack Snyder's and the screenwriter's mind was Chris Terrio. They wanted to modernize that character, and they were like, well, what's the more modern version of a corporate tycoon, like evil corporate person? And they went for Mark Zuckerberg, like
Zuckerberg and his bad haircut,
right? Exactly right. So I just kind of keep thinking like, okay, maybe I should give this movie another chance. So maybe I'll revisit it. I mean, other movies that I maybe have been too harsh on in the past, I will say definitely Superman Returns, which is actually a Bryan Singer movie. I felt it was very repetitive and did not like the fact that it was just trying to be the 70s Superman again.
Okay.
So I would definitely put that on the list as well. Yeah, I think there's, I also have noticed that some of the Marvel movies actually rewatch better the further along the Marvel Cinematic Universe goes.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I liked Doctor Strange, did not love Doctor Strange. Same with Thor: The Dark World, and a couple of others. And yeah, the more that these other Marvel MCU movies inform those movies and vice versa, I'm kind of like, you know what? Yeah, this kind of still works for me. This works for me in a way that it didn't when I initially saw it before Infinity War or Endgame or stuff, stuff like that. So I would say that's definitely on the list. But yeah, thanks for chiming in, guys. I like the Man of Steel the second time around watching. Okay, well, Baldo, cool.
That's two. Two people saying you got to give it a rewatch.
Got to give another try. Actually, someone's co-signing your Watson statement, actually, too.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
thanks for the backup.
Karen, yeah. Watson is always looking to be not very smart. I love Basil Rathbone, one from the 40s. I definitely have not seen that one, but I will. Basil Rathbone. That's almost as British as Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh man, Benedict Bandersnatch.
MCU casting has been spot on. I'd say they've had more hits than misses.
I think so. I agree with that.
And even the misses are not that far off. Like I don't, so yeah, I'm down with that for sure. But yeah, guys, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for participating in this week's Social Swamp. I don't know if you saw this, but I'm kind of contemplating next week's Social Swamp.
Oh, I commented on that Facebook post.
Okay.
I would love to talk about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because it wasn't a fully formed idea, and you guys aren't going to know what it is. I'm not going to tell you just yet, but I want to unpack it at least and see what the
I think that's
response
a super interesting thought. And the minute I read that, I was like, yes, but also no.
Yes, but also no. Right. So I'm just saying this right now, guys. If it goes out on Free Comic Book Day, don't jump down our throat specifically. We're just unpacking it.
I'm tired of getting yelled at.
We're just unpacking it. That's all we're doing.
I got yelled at for using the word ignorant as a joke last week.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You can't please all the people on the internet. You can't even please half of the people on the internet, so it's all right. All right. What is this week's poll?
This week's poll is all about the latest series on Disney Plus, guys. Moon Knight dropped today. Right, yeah. I didn't realize it was today. I thought it was Friday. So it's out today, out in the wild. And we want to know if you will be watching it tonight, this weekend, sometime in the distant future. Do you plan to consume this piece of media? Johnny Rose, where are you?
I am here.
Have you watched it yet, Johnny? You're usually pretty fast on these things. Okay.
No, I've been pretty busy lately because I don't know if anyone knows who's watching this, and you guys know, PREVIEWSworld Weekly is coming up on 200 episodes in a couple months. So I've been very busy behind the scenes working on some new graphics and everything for the show. So I haven't actually had time to watch it yet. So the wife, I've been trying to get her into the MCU stuff. It's been a little bit hit or miss. I think I've kind of I'm the litmus test for her. I'll watch a couple episodes and then see if I can introduce her to it. For instance, She wouldn't have liked Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I'm like, skip this.
Okay.
She wouldn't have liked Eternals. I'm like, skip this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna watch this myself. Probably, I know I'm going to watch because I feel like at this point it's been what 10, 11, 12 years, however long it's been going since like Iron Man for the first one came out.
Yeah.
The MCU has tenure at this point.
Yeah.
I need to like see where this ride is going to go. I've invested so much time into this.
No, I'm with you 100%. I kind of feel like, there's been more good vibes from the MCU than bad vibes from me, right? So I'll give it a shot. You know what I mean? Like I'll give it a whirl and see what's up. Yeah, I'm definitely planning to watch it. I don't know, Ashton, are you planning to watch it?
Well, Oscar Isaac is in it, so yes.
Of course, Oscar
Annie
Isaac.
chime in right now. Of course, Oscar Isaac.
Yeah. Yes,
right.
Annie. Yes, I got that vibe.
Ubaldo says, I will be watching Moon Knight eventually.
Right,
Eventually.
yes.
Look,
Well,
Oscar Isaac, the beard, sold. I don't even need to know what it's about.
Some people do wait until like the entire series is out and then watch it nonstop. I'm like, okay, but I like the episodic, like the way that they release things and the way that like kind of Disney started out with the Mandalorian is like that week-to-week installment thing, because it gives you that water cooler type situation where you can talk. You go, if you binge everything in one day, it's like, I've seen it. What have you been doing with your life? Why haven't you dropped everything that you're doing on a dime to watch this one show and talk to me about it right now?
Actually, so just this is a total aside, but like it's funny you mentioned that because I just read an article about why all the streaming services that were initially going to like just release it all at once are now going to week, right? Which is the old television model. And it's exactly what you mean. It's so that they can maintain the conversation, because what they're seeing a lot of is a huge spike up front and then a complete and total drop off. And then, the cultural conversation just completely moves on. Right. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I kind of like the little stopgaps. So absolutely.
So yes.
So what are people saying?
82% say yes.
Yeah. I figure it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
This was a softball.
Yeah, we loved it. This
gotta take it easy now and then.
Brian Arnold is saying, Philly Radio Geek saying, already saw it and loved it.
Oh, nice.
Okay, cool.
No, we've talked about this before, Troy. It's like I honestly don't have that much knowledge about like the Moon Knight as a character. Like the only knowledge I have about him was when Stephen Platt was doing the artwork back in the mid to late 90s.
I always forget about that. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, he was all veiny and muscly and all that.
Yeah.
So
very 90s, very 90s.
But
yeah, my understanding of that character comes from Warren Ellis's run, and that's and maybe some of the other ones that were floating around that time, but that's about it. So. Yeah, this is kind of like one of the Marvel characters where I'm like, you can tell me anything at this point. I'm like, I'm on board, sure, what not?
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds about right.
I do like Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac has been like, pretty popular, obviously, in like geek culture in terms of the movies he's done.
Pretty popular.
Yeah,
Dude, he's got like the trifecta. Well, not the trifecta.
Well, I'm just saying, like Dune,
Dune.
obviously, X-Men. He was Apocalypse, which blew my mind.
I forgot about X-Men. Oh my god, it was Apocalypse.
Star Wars.
Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, like when I found out that like Poe Dameron and like Apocalypse were played by the same actor, I was like,
what?
Yeah.
And I got to call out Ashton too, because I'm like, I think I've said this before. Oscar Isaacs, look, nobody's going to be as everywhere as Sam Jackson is, but Oscar Isaacs is kind of almost everywhere.
He is absolutely nowhere close.
I mean, he's not going to be. No one, like I said, no one's going to be as bad as Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson pops up in things. It's like, oh. I wouldn't have thought he would be in this, but okay, sure. But Oscar Isaac he's pretty prevalent. He's pretty
okay. I think there's a distinction to be made between like being the it guy and like popular and well cast because you're popular versus just having the hardest working agent in Hollywood, which is what Samuel L. Jackson has.
Well, let's also consider how long they've each been in the industry. Like Sam Jackson's been doing movies a lot longer, so give it time. Oscar Isaac will make his mark, if not the fact that he already has, but he will definitely continue doing so. He hosted SNL not too long ago, and he actually joked that I forget what his actual ethnicity is, but it's like
he's Guatemalan,
and he actually mentioned a couple other things. But he joked that which basically translates to ambiguous in Hollywood, which makes him bankable. I mean, but that's actually a plus for him. You know what I mean? Because I've seen him play. he's played Jewish characters before, like he's played characters who don't really have like any distinction in terms of ethnicity, and he's most certainly played like Latino characters before. So, I think that something can be said for that. I think that there's definitely an aspect of it, and they do this for actors all the time, right? Like I've heard quite a few people point out that like actors kind of have to be a little bit plain so that they can be like the makeup can do all the work so they can be anything they need to be,
Right.
So I think there's something to that. Comic shop shout outs. What is this week's comic shop shout out, Ashton?
This week's comic shop shout out is actually Wonder Harbor Comics, which is the store we mentioned earlier. It suffered an arson attack, so we're gonna do a little bit we can, shout them out, give them some love. And again, if you want to help, if you're feeling generous, if you have the ability, they do have a GoFundMe to help rebuild their shop. So we'll shout them out again. They're in Edmonton, Canada. We'll show you. We have one picture of their shop, unfortunately, to share. So you'll see that at the end of the show. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show in future episodes, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
All right. And again, show your support to Wonder Harbor Comics. Thanks for hanging out with us for this 47 minutes. This is actually a pretty short one. Wow. And yes, be sure to like, follow, subscribe. You can hang out with me at PREVIEWSworld, and you can hang out with Ashton at
Free Comic Book Day. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the things.
All the things. I want to just reiterate, I have a Jim Rugg interview on PREVIEWSworld.com right now, where he talks about Hulk Grand Design in detail, which is actually really cool. Like he basically shows us how he built the cover. And when I say built, I mean he did build this cover, which is actually kind of a really impressive thing about this. There's a very old school approach to how he's doing. Like he does draw digitally, but then like in terms of like he starts inviting different elements onto the cover and kind of just constructs it, which I think is really cool. So definitely check out that interview. Also, it is Women in Comics Month still. I just want to point that out. We got one more day before Women in Comics Month is over with. And I wanted to point out that we have an interview with Yashawn Lee from Top Cow Comics. She's done a bunch of books for Top Cow, including Swing. And Punder, and I'm sorry, not Punderland, and a bunch of other ones. And so, she gives us a look into her artistic process as well, and talks about just how she got into comics, how she's able to be an international woman of artistry because she has defied borders. Like she has done stuff in Asia, she's done stuff in America, she's done stuff in Europe. So definitely check that out and celebrate women in comics with us as well. And I also want to point out that PREVIEWSworld.com/women-in-comics. You can find just all the stuff we've been doing for the past month, including Ashton's Women in Comics Roundtable, which was actually really cool and really great. So there you go. And that is actually on YouTube right now as well, so you can watch that. And that's it for PREVIEWSworld Weekly, guys. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
All right, and we will see you at the Spinner Rack. Catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch PREVIEWSworld Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at PREVIEWSworld on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.